Hey, this is Damon Brown. You're watching Bring Your Worth. I come to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. Thank you for coming through. Let me go and get you guys settled on Amazon as well. All right. Welcome, Amazon customers. Welcome, y'all that are on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, where the YouTube channel is. I'm not even on Facebook, but I know some of y'all are watching on there. So shout out to y'all wherever you're getting this. Much love to you. Hope the holiday season, wherever you happen to be, is going well, whether it's wintertime or my folks down south who are going into the beginning of summertime, middle of summertime, I should say. My name is Damon Brown. This is Bring Your Worth Show. I come to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. Let me go ahead and put the logo down there. Got the logo over here. My new book, as you can tell, is called Career Remix. Get the gig you want based on the skills you've got. Shout out to Barnes Noble Publishing and their subsidiary, Union Square and Company. I actually worked with them many, many moons ago on some books. A couple of them became bestsellers. And I have my own publishing company. I have my own imprint. I've been doing stuff independently for several years now, basically since my two kids have been born. My eldest is about to turn 10, so it tells you how long I've been in the game, doing things on my own, and partnering with Barnes and Noble again for the new book, Career Remix, which is fantastic. And it's kind of a reunited, and luckily it's felt so good. Sorry, sorry for the 70s throwback, but that tells you what generation I'm in. Get the gig you want based on the skills you've got. If you're doing quiet quitting, if you're hustling, you're not feel like you're not getting anywhere, if you're focused on your job but not focused on your career, this is the book for you. Thank you for lovely reviews and all the wonderful feedback that I've gotten since the book came out earlier this year. I also did an audiobook for it. If you subscribe to the Bring Your Worth show, you can do it for free at the link below here. You can go back in the archives. I want to say back in March, April, somewhere. I want to say April. I actually did a whole episode, live episode, talking about how I did my previous audiobooks I did independently, as well as the new one, Career Remix, which I did in a professional studio downtown, in a studio like I was Snoop Dogg or Jay-Z. It was a different experience, a lot of fun, way more intense than I was expecting, but also a lot easier because I actually had an engineer. Talk about that whole process. You can go through the Bring Your Worth episodes and check that out. I believe the name of the episode is How to Start a YouTube Show and or How to Start a Podcast for Under $300. And I break down the studio lights here. I break down the audio, the mic that I'm using. We'll pull up the mic, but I don't want to jack up the system. But all the info's in there. Happy to share that with y'all. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I come to y'all. Wednesdays are the optional live show, and happy to be live today. I was doing some traveling over summer, went to the TED conference. Like I said, I have little kids, so we did our share of traveling. Of course, we have the holidays here in the States, so doing some traveling with there. But hopefully over the next few weeks, I'll be able to come through every Wednesday, and so you can I can help you. We can all end the year strong. If you get my newsletter at joindamon.me, I just had a newsletter that came out this morning. It comes out every Wednesday at 5:55 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. And I talked about how I consider this one of the New Year's. So I have two New Year's. The first one's my birthday, which is the case for a lot of us. But then my second New Year is right now, which here in the States is a week right after Thanksgiving. And it's kind of an odd holiday, if you want to call it a holiday, because we have our own issues here in the States. And I definitely have some mixed feelings about it. Shout out to my indigenous people that I know. But it is a break. And as soon as that fourth or so Thursday happens, then the rest of the year goes by really quickly because you have like national holidays, you have religious holidays, you have all these different types of breaks. Before you know it, it's January 1st. I consider this beginning of the new year. I consider this beginning of this year. With that energy, I want to kind of give you what you need to kind of get started and go in the right direction for your new year. One of my strengths is goal setting, and I'm a business coach. That's one of the things that I try to share with y'all that I coach. One of the things that helps with goal setting is to do it early. As they said in Chicago voting, do it early and do it often. So essentially, you want to do your goal setting way before there's any pressure. It's one of those dads that gets to the airport 3 hours in advance, and we'll just sit there, or when I had lounge access, we'll go to the lounge, or we'll just hang out or whatever. I don't want to have to worry about rushing, and I want there to be enough time, so if there's any bumps in the road, which there often are, that everything's paved and everything's smooth. One of the things I don't need to worry about is getting to the airport. One of the things I don't have to worry about is what's my passive income strategy for 2023, which I'm going to get into that in a few minutes in the show. What I don't have to worry about is, am I reaching my goals? Or more importantly, what the heck are my goals? You don't have to worry about that with me. I already got my goals for 2023, at least quite a few of them. I got like 3 that I'm trying to hit. One I have down pat. 2 of them I'm trying to solidify, but I literally have a month, more than a month, to solidify it. Tomorrow's is December 31st. Tomorrow's December 1st. And so I'm trying to help you get to that mindset to say, hey, let me go and get started. Act like tomorrow, act like today is New Year's Eve. What am I going to be looking at in the new year? And it's a lot easier if we start now rather than try to rush. We're under the mistletoe on December 31st, and then we realize that we want to make 6 figures. It's a little bit late for that. You don't really get started till February or March because it takes time. So that's going to be the focus of this show. Let me go ahead and share a couple quick things that you guys might want to know about. Shorts. I'm doing a lot of shorts. As I mentioned in the previous live shows, shorts on YouTube are similar to TikTok, where it's like 30-second snippets. In some cases, it's 5-second snippets. I am not exaggerating. Y'all know I'm really into the quotes. So a lot of them are quotes. A lot of them are snippets from celebrities. Excuse me. Some of them are passages or sections that really resonated with y'all from my audiobooks, which, as I mentioned, I have several, to stuff that you might have heard from other folks that really you said resonated. And I'm capturing those things, putting them into a bite-sized format, and you just grab your phone and slip through them. And wow, y'all are really feeling it. Like, it's literally been hundreds of thousands of views since I started doing shorts. I got serious about them about 2 months ago, and the response has been ridiculously intense. So I'm thank you for that, for those that are supporting the shorts. What's exciting about the shorts is that you can get them on the go, and they're bite-sized. My best-selling book from a few years ago was called The Bite-Sized Entrepreneur. So it's of that vibe. That's the shorts. They're completely free. They're best, in my opinion, on the phone. Again, you grab them on your phone, you watch them for a second, some cases literally, and they will automatically repeat if you didn't catch it the first time. I've had some shorts other people's shorts that I've enjoyed so much, I've watched them 10 times in a row. They've only been like 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Max, they're 60 seconds. They're fantastic. I love the new format. I do keynotes. I've done 4 TED Talks. I can hold a stage for a little while. This has forced me to get more narrow and more defined with my speaking. So I'm not doing 15 minutes, 30 minutes, hour. In some cases, I've done 2 hours of talking. No, this is 5 seconds. This is 10 seconds. So it's been a fantastic exercise for me personally, as far as serving y'all, but in a completely different format. On that note, I've taken a lot of my most popular shorts, not all of them, but a lot of my most popular ones, and actually formatted them so that their entire screen, like if you're watching this on the computer or whatever, it will be the entire screen, just like you're watching me. So they're BringYourWorth shorts in 4K. I have about 24 of them. 1 or 2 of them have become extremely popular, which is kind of that note where I was like, okay, this is the wave, as they say, this is the direction that we're going. So feel free to check that out. I have a whole playlist I linked in here. Like I said, I think it's 21, 22. I'll be uploading a lot more over the next month or so. So it's going to be a whole collection, many of them based on these shorts that you originally would see on your little phone. And now they're going to be full screen. So even if you're watching on a big screen TV. Speaking of big screen TV, we actually just got a TV earlier this year. I know I sound like a hipster, but we didn't have a TV for a while because we don't want our kids to be exposed to too much TV. It's kind of like junk food. Once you bring it into the house, your chances of eating it are a lot higher because it's right there. right? We didn't want to expose them to too much television. We recently got a television, which was super cool. I got the PlayStation 4, all that other stuff, and it's a lot of fun with that. But I essentially started this YouTube channel with the Bring Your Worth show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday before we actually had a TV at home. Now, when my stuff premieres or I'm watching other channels that I absolutely adore, shout out to Dory Clark, shout out to Dan Runcie, who's doing Trapital, which talks about the business of music. All those great channels, all that good stuff, I can actually watch it on my TV. So if you have a TV at home, we have a Roku setup. It's built into the TV. We don't even, I'm so old school. I had the Roku, but it was like a box that you had to buy separately. I bought one for my mother like 15 years ago. It's actually in the TV. My whole point is that you can actually go to your TV. You go to it right now if you got a digital TV. There's actually apps that you can download, and you can download the YouTube app. Nothing fancy, but the YouTube app. When you download the app, just search for Brown Damon, which is my handle, BROWNDAMON. It's my handle everywhere, from LinkedIn to Twitter or whatever. Or you can search for the hashtag right here. Sorry for my big fingers, especially if you're on the TV. My fingers are huge right now. Bring Your Worth, that hashtag. And all the episodes, we're at 271 episodes, I think, today. 271 episodes of the Bring Your Worth show. All original interviews with me interviewing other folks. The deep dives into the stuff I talk about in my best-selling books, as well as stuff from my coaching practice. It's all there. And what's also on there are these shorts in 4K. If you watch him on a big screen TV like I've been watching him, they look gorgeous, if I can say so myself, because they're literally in 4K. It's not branding. It's like for real 4K. So if you got a nice TV like we have now, it's going to look gorgeous. So you can do the shorts on the actual phone, or you can do the shorts on the big screen. Just do that link. You can also do the regular shorts, the ones you see on your phone, on the big screen, but I'm formatting it for you so they're nice and big. So anyway, I'm so excited about it, as you can tell. I wasn't able to connect. I was out last week because it was Thanksgiving, so I was out with my family. But the week before that, I believe, is when I last connected with y'all for the live. I am over in Decentraland, which is part of Web3 and one of the metaverses. This is different. This is cool. If you know my work, I love the new waves. And not even saying that the new technology is the best, but more like if you don't know where the new waves are going, then you don't know where you can serve people the best. A lot of y'all are going into Decentraland, going into, I'm blanking on the other major metaverse that was a big competitor to Decentraland a year or two ago. I'm blanking on it. I need to have more coffee. But those different worlds, those different metaverses, I end up partnering with the UPS store, which if you ship a lot, which I got my own publishing company and ship a lot. So if you end up shipping a lot, you're familiar with the UPS store, you probably got an account over there, or you come through there and get one or two things shipped, particularly during the holidays. I partnered with them to actually create a discussion around the metaverse. So it's very meta. I think it's a triple entendre, right? Because it's meta about the metaverse, but it's meta because I'm actually in the metaverse talking about the metaverse. I think that's triple word score. With the UPS store, I end up partnering with them, and we have 10, I think, very short videos. I believe I did 10. 30 seconds to 90 seconds. You see the pattern here, right? It's like I did shorts for them. And I'm partnering with them and ended up being connected to Fast Company. I love the magazine over there. Shout out to Mansudo Ventures, who also owns Inc., where I'm a writer over there. And I'm talking about the metaverse and how it can serve small businesses. And it's been a fantastic experience working with them. If you go into the Decentraland, you can click the link right here. It'll guide you as far as how to get in there. You have your little avatar, you design it, you go into this area, and it's like a little auditorium. And then you can watch my videos talking about how you, as a small or medium-sized business owner, or I would argue as a creator or as an entrepreneur, as a side hustler, those folks that I coach like yourself, how you can take full advantage of this third space, right? To steal the word from Starbucks, because we have the we have the in-person stuff. And then we have what we're doing right here, which is me and you communicating, one too many, I would argue, right? As they say, as opposed to one-on-one. So it's kind of Zoom space, for lack of a better word. Shout out to StreamYard.com, which is what I use for this. But there's now another space opening where we're able to interact with each other, but it's also virtual, right? There's something different about that. And I'm excited to be exploring it with the UPS store. Shout out to them. And yeah, if you want to learn more about it, click on there. And it's actually an article about it. If it sounds like it's your wave, click on it and see what's up and enjoy the experience. And maybe you'll see me in Decentraland as well, walking around, checking out the other interesting booths that are happening there. All right. Today, more profit in 2023. We can create amazing businesses. We can serve the world. That part, I wouldn't say it's easy, but the next level of that is actually you still being around 5, 10, 15, in my case, 20 plus years. You have to design certain systems to stay in the game. You have to. Folks can come in and create a YouTube video a day. Folks can do a blog post a day. You could pitch a million different magazines and newspapers, because my background is journalism. Pitch a million and two magazines and newspapers, websites, whatever. Anyone can do that for like a week, maybe a month. If you're younger than I am, because I'm no longer a spring chicken, maybe you can do that for like 3 or 4 months. But one of two things usually happens. Number one, you end up burning yourself out, either physically, mentally, or emotionally, right? And I have plenty of videos that burn out. Be sure to subscribe at youtube.com/BrownDamon. You can catch all my videos I talk about with burnout, as well as in the recent books, including Career Remix, right? So there's we've talked plenty about burnout over the last couple of years that show's been going. The other thing that can happen, though, is that you start to get blocked as far as your growth. What I mean by that is you don't have time to reflect. You're so busy on the Ferris wheel that you're not Ferris wheel, hamster wheel. Ferris wheels are fine. Hamster wheels are not good because you're not going anywhere. It's a difference between running a business and working on the business of your business. Those are two separate things. Running a business, a lot of us can do that. A lot of us do that now. A lot of us do that fine. Working on the business of your business, that's what I specialize in as a coach. What is your system? How are you organizing things? What's your strategy? You have to think bigger than the next hustle, because hustling's not going to make it. I think it was Robert Greene, ironically, in a short that I saw over the past year or two. Shout out to him. He has a fabulous YouTube channel. Excuse me. He has a fabulous YouTube channel. But he's the author of the 48 Laws of Power, which I know I have a few of his books somewhere up here. Mastery is one of my favorite ones, but 48 Laws of Power is like the one. And he has a YouTube channel now. And he was talking about that, where people in your 20s, and if you're lucky in your 30s, you can get by on good looks, or at least youth. You can push yourself way too hard because you have the youthful energy and body, you have the stamina. And you're able to get away with things because, if you're in your 20s, no offense to you if you are, there's not that expectation that you know what you're doing. When you get closer to my age, then it's like there's that expectation. And when you get to your 30s, definitely in your 40s, it's like, all right, you can't just skate by anymore. And those issues and those flaws with how you're doing things start to come up. I know that I pushed myself too hard. I was way too aggressive with things. Sometimes I just skated by. That wasn't so much the case. I was usually working too hard, but I definitely had my moments where I was skating by, and it's like, it's not going to work anymore. I can deal with some of those issues and system issues today. But a lot of those are systemic. They're not just how we are, but it's because we're able to function in a certain way. As a coach, what I'm trying to help myself do and help you do is level up and say, is there a way that I can function better? If you start to function better and your systems get better as far as your business, as far as your health, all those little details, as far as how you manage your relationships, you will get more profitable. So I'm going to recommend some books. There are 4 of them that I think are excellent in starting the new year. And more importantly, they will help you think about the systems as far as how you bring money in, how you show up in your business, and how you can have a business like myself that's still running years, even months are fine. You might be at that point, you're like, I just want to go another month. Let's talk about that. But months, years, in my case, decades into the future. So let's get into it. All right. First book, Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. I just reorganized my office and I cannot find her copy, but she sent me a signed copy and I got a chance to interview her. There's actually some excerpts of that interview in the new book, Career Remix, again, available everywhere in audiobook form and elsewhere. So I talk and share some of that wisdom from her. Marie Forleo is arguably the Oprah of the internet generation, and great coach. We have a lot of parallels. That's one of the reasons why I was flattered to get the opportunity to interview her when her book came out. I want to say in 2019. But again, I have a signed copy around here somewhere, but it's dog-eared. What's so fantastic about this book is how simple it is. And again, her and I are in similar fields, and she has a certain way of just making it accessible that I so admire. It's something that I strive to do every day, because some of the stuff we're talking about, whether it's emotional baggage or personal limitations or issues with how we have unconscious barriers or upper limit problems, as Gay Hendricks would say, the author of The Big Leap, those things are hidden and weird and hard to explain. But that's literally my coaching practice. And I would say Marie is similar. She has a way of solidifying it in a simple way. She had this great quote in there that she just recently shared, again, in a short. So again, shorts of the stuff right now, just saying. I don't know about next year, but right now they're great. And she said, everything is figureoutable. So if you have a problem, then there's absolutely a solution. If there's no solution, then that means it's a limitation or just a fact of life, like gravity or oxygen, right? If you accept that, then you can start to let go of those things that are not in your control, and you take responsibility for the things that are. In other words, to quote Seth Godin, it puts us on the hook, but it also takes us off the hook of all those things that I can't control, and get personal for it, that I can't control. Excuse me. For instance, my sinuses and my allergies are bothering me today. I've taken allergy meds and all that stuff. It's a limitation. The weather's funky outside. Even in the desert, we have weird allergy weather stuff and all that stuff. But what I do have control over is having as good as possible of a show for you. If I'm saying that, bro, I think good. Yeah, we'll make it a gooder show. A gooder show for you guys, to make sure I show up as much as possible. You know, I pour some of the good stuff, so I'm able to be there for y'all and you can hear me clearly, and to make sure that I'm fully available for whatever questions or comments, whatever you might have in the live chat. I have control over that. My sinuses and stuff, I can't control the weird weather right now. It's sinus season, or allergy season, not sinus season, allergy season. Nothing I can do about that. That immediately takes me out of victim mode. And if you're going to be more profitable in this upcoming year, you really have to sit with how you want to show up in the world, whom you want to serve, and what's in your power. Everything is Figureoutable, gets right to the meat of that. And I love it. It's a lot of personal stories in there. If you're familiar with Marie TV, her long-running channel, which again, a channel that I admire, she talks a little bit about personal stuff, but she doesn't go too far. And this one, like the first chapter, just blew me away, where she talks about her family, why she's built the way she's built, and it all kind of made sense. She's also from New Jersey, like myself, and there were certain details or certain ways she described things where I felt like I was growing up with her, like I was watching her grow up. And I'm like, oh, that's why she approaches that. And that's why the limitation is important to her. And that's why she's so passionate about it. Oh, it makes sense. So if you're a fan of Marie Forleo, cop it. I'm obviously a fan. Um, but also, if you're trying to figure out what those limitations are and how you can set yourself up right for the upcoming year, please get this book. Again, highly recommend it. I have an episode from probably about a year ago that talks about how to reach your goals easier. It actually touches on the next book that I'm going to recommend, but this is also good pairing. If I could be your sommelier, book sommelier for the day. This is a good pairing to Everything is Figureoutable, where it's how to reach your goals easier. Like I talked about at the top of the show, goals should be accessible. It's kind of the point of a goal. And they should be relatively simple. The last aspect, though, which I keep hinting at, is it should be something that's under your control. If you have a goal that's not under your control, then you might have to figure it in a different way. I talk about that in this episode. I want to say it's like 12, 13 minutes long. I think it's worth your time. It's a popular episode, at least based on those discussions. Relative to like the complexity of stuff I'm talking about, it's a popular episode. Please go ahead and check it out in the show. Excuse me. All right. The next book I recommend is Upstream by Dan Heath. I've recommended it a couple times. It's become my starter of the year. Shout out to Dan Heath and his brother Chip. And they sometimes do books together about business and decisions and all that. Upstream is extremely simple. Again, you see the pattern here. Extremely simple. Downstream problems are, wow, this is jacked up. I need to fix it. And I need to repair the damage that's already been done. Upstream, if you look at it like a river, is saying, wow, this is going to be a problem next year. And I see a little crest of it right now. Let me go ahead and work on it before it becomes a bigger problem, or worse, it becomes such a problem that it ends my business or ends up hurting my customers or ends up hurting my profit, which is the focus of the talk today. Fantastic book. I don't know why I said he gives so many different examples of upstream thinking. One of the challenges with upstream thinking, which is why it's important to talk about things now as far as how you want the new year to be, it's extremely important to work on it not under the guise of pressure. I talked about that at the top of the show where I like to get to the airport early. I like to talk about New Year's plans, on November 30th or whatever. The reasoning behind that is we're not going to think as clearly under pressure. It also gives us time to be objective about whatever our systems are. So for instance, if you know that your money is going to start getting thin by, say, the second quarter of the new year, but you don't actually think about it and sit with it until, say, March 31st, you're going to be in a different mindset than if it's, say, November 30th, and you know your money's going to start getting thin from customers coming in, invoices, seasonal, whatever your business happens to be. It's going to start getting thin on that, in that second quarter of next year. You start working on it now, maybe it won't get thin. That's upstream thinking. The challenge with upstream thinking is that I forget the term, but it's one of my favorite terms. And I read the book and I'm like, I'm going to remember the term. And I always forget the term. But it's this fantastic term that basically says, we don't know the consequences of us making a bad decision when we make good decisions. For instance, let's say I'm driving on the road right now. And I say, I'm going to go ahead and leave 10 minutes earlier just to be on the safe side. Maybe 5 minutes after I left, there was an accident on the highway and I wouldn't be able to make that appointment. But I don't know that because I made a cautious, thoughtful, strategic decision and left 10 minutes earlier. I may never know that on some multiverse stuff, kind of like Marvel, right? You don't know. That's why we often don't make these long-term, smart, strategic decisions because we don't know the impact of us making good ones. Me starting this YouTube channel, it'll be the 2-year anniversary on December 22nd, whatever the winter solstice is. It's gotten me speaking gigs, and I have some of the, in fact, almost all my speaking gigs are available at youtube.com/BrownDamon. A lot of them are recorded, some of them with the visuals. Be sure and check them out. Those speaking gigs, the book opportunities, such as the new book, Career Remix, all those things, they might have been spurred on or might have been encouraged, might have been supported by me doing the show and showing up for going on 300 episodes with y'all. But I don't know that because I strategically decided to do the show. So I don't know what I would have lost or those beautiful opportunities I wouldn't have had because I actually did the strategy and made the effort that I was supposed to make. That's why we often don't make good strategic decisions, because we don't know the impact of the good strategic decisions we made, because we don't know what would have happened if we didn't make those. Unfortunately, the only way to know that you made a bad strategic decision is when things start to fall apart. Dan Heath's book talks about that, way more articulate than I am, talks about that, how we can show up in a certain way so that we can actually get thanked by our future self for the decisions we're making right now. There are 3, 4, 5 decisions I made over the past week. Some of them were financial investments where I'm like, I'm going to invest in this software. I'm going to go ahead and purchase this. I'm going to commit time to this. Some of them I've already mentioned already. I'm going to do this. I'm going to show up in the metaverse, in Decentraland, and I'm going to do these videos. And maybe they'll make some type of societal impact. Maybe they won't. But I got this opportunity with the UPS store. And if I say no to this and Decentraland ends up being the next wave, and there's literally millions of people that I can impact by having videos over there, that sounds like a regret to me. That's upstream thinking, taking enough of a risk to bet on your future self and to protect your future self, rather than saying, I'm going to stick with what I'm doing because this is what I know. And then before you know it, to use an analogy, you're up a creek. You know which creek you'd be up. Highly recommend the book. This one ties right into it. It's one of my favorite episodes of this new season. I want to say this episode came out maybe like a month or 2 ago. One of my favorite episodes. I've shared it with most of my coaching clients. If you all are watching right now, please, if I didn't share it with you, please watch this one. I love this, love this, love this. Plan versus strategy, why a plan is not enough. A plan is not a strategy. You having a plan for the New Year's, that ain't it. No, we need to develop a strategy, and the plan arises from that strategy. We need to develop a strategy, and a plan arises from that strategy. As Customato, famous for being Mike Tyson's trainer, said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. A strategy is saying, if these go in these particular directions, I'm going to focus on the left hook, right hook. That's going to be my focus. That's going to be my strategy, because this fighter has this particular weakness. I'm not going to torture that analogy anymore, but you understand what I'm saying. Strategy is bigger than that. This video is about 7 minutes long, I think, maybe 8 minutes, definitely less than 10 minutes. Check it out. I think it'll be super helpful as far as you getting to the right mindset to make sure you're ready for the upcoming year. All right. Son of Money by Susan Bradley. I don't think I've ever recommended this book. It's one of my favorite books. This is actually one of my secret weapons. It is so old. It is dog-eared. It is hardcover. I lost the cover. I might have lost the cover during Katrina because I was down there in New Orleans. I might have lost the cover during that. Oh my gosh, was that 15, 17 years ago? Like, I've been reading this book, stays with me. Fantastic book. Again, if you think I'm lying, look at the dog ears. It smells a little bit like mildew, so don't get this copy. I don't even think this edition is around anymore, but I love the book. Shout out to Susan Bradley. I will hold it up, even though I will hold up the spine so you can see what I'm talking about. Otherwise, just a black book. This book is fantastic. It talks about this. Let's say you're working on your little business, and suddenly this mega customer comes in. We call them whales. Shout out to Las Vegas, where I live now. This mega customer comes in and was like, hey, that widget that you have, I want to buy 5,000 of them. And you're sitting there like, wow, I usually make about 5 a day. But yeah, let's do it. And they're like, great, send me the invoice. And suddenly you get a boatload of money. Let's say you're a writer and I've been a writer for a long time. You're just getting by. And suddenly you get a deal. And a deal is worth 7 figures. Or in my case, you have a small independent book that comes out, like The Bite-Sized Entrepreneur, and becomes a top 10 business book on Amazon literally overnight. What do you do? Sun and Money talks about what happens when you get a different echelon of money coming in. This book is important for several different reasons, but I'm going to outline 2. The first is that we're often prepared for failure. We are prepared to go get the day job. We're prepared to pull out a credit card if you end up being that desperate. We're prepared to have things fall apart and not be sure what to do with it. But as I've said, as Stephen Pressfield, shout out to him, the author of the War of Art, as Seth Godin has said, shout out to him, he's a mentor of mine, as all these other people before me and me have said, we often don't prepare for success. We're actually more afraid of success than failure, because failure just means we got to go back to the shit that we knew before. Success, though, means we need to level up. I'm thinking about a million different public speakers that I admire. Shout out to Jim Rohn, all these folks that have talked about that help groom me to get to that level, to say, no, I'm not afraid of failure. I'm afraid of success. Even for us, those of us who are dreaming about having our big payday this upcoming new year. Okay, so let's say you get $1 million deal. How much do you have to pay in taxes? Is it 47%? Is it 35%? Is it 60%? Is there a way you can offset that? What would you actually spend the money on? Would you spend the money at all? What parts of your systems, go back to the widget idea, which part of your systems need to be upgraded so that you can handle that 5,000 widget order when you're used to doing 5? I was talking to some folks recently, in fact, a relative of mine, and I was talking about how I'm ready for these next levels of my speaking gigs. I'm ready for the next level of this TV show. I'm ready for the next level of a lot of different things. And all those things are into place. Some of them required financial investment. Some of them required emotional investment. Some of them required me sitting down, literally sitting down, grabbing a journal and writing down what I want that vision to be. So if I go from being a 5-figure speaker, which is what I am right now as far as a keynote speaker, so I get 5 figures for public speaking, and then something happens and suddenly I become a 6-figure public speaker, which some of those folks are my friends and colleagues. So I already know it's possible. It's tangible. I'm like, oh, I see them. I see them. I see what they do. I already have systems in place that are ready. I got books in the closet. I got my suits ready, or at least my blazers. I don't wear suits. I got all the sorry. Lost the connection for a second. Hopefully you guys are still there. Suddenly went blank. Worst nightmare, right? Hopefully y'all are still there. Yeah, it looks like it reconnected. So listen, I've been lucky, and hopefully you'll be too. In fact, I'm making an assumption. Maybe you've already been lucky enough where if you're in the game long enough, these sudden money moments will happen where you're going to come out with a product and it's going to become extremely popular, and you end up going to a different financial bracket, and hopefully another tax bracket if it ends up being that much. I had my startup Cuddler, which we ended up launching, bootstrapping back in 2014. Became #1 app in the world twice in 2014, and the beginning of 2015, we ended up selling the business. Was not expecting that. But I've been grinding and looking into the startup world and all those other things for several years. And then it just happened. And suddenly we're on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. Sudden money comes with that. If you're going to be more profitable in this upcoming year, you have to know what you're going to do with that profit. I've already come up with systems, and I keep refining them because I keep learning more and more about money, and talk to my wife about money. I'm starting to talk to my kids about money, which is, of course, when you teach someone else, you get a perception as far as what your real view is. So I'm learning from that. So I'm teaching other people about that. I've been a coach for several years now. So we've been talking a lot about money. You got to talk about money if you're going to talk about making an impact in the world. Because if you don't have the money and the resources to keep your business going, then how can you help other people? Money has to be part of the discussion, period, point blank, end of story. So if you want to make a bigger impact in the world, money often comes with that. If money's going to come with that, you need to start having systems in place as far as what you're going to do with that money. If my salary went 10x suddenly, I have a strong idea as far as what I was going to do. I'd be overwhelmed, which this book talks about. Again, shout out to Susan Bradley. But I know and have a strong idea, a strategy as far as what I was going to do. So if you're wishing and pushing and hoping and fighting hard, fighting the good fight, you're in the arena, as Brene Brown talks about, and you're saying, I'm going to crack 6 figures this year. I'm going to crack 7 figures this year, et cetera, et cetera. But you're mentally not equipped for that. As they say, you're not going to make it, or you're going to blow it. I've been in those situations. This book, good place to start. That's my sermon on sudden money. Like I said, I've had it for almost 20 years. Fantastic book. Can't recommend it more. Related to this, about a month ago, did a really short video. It's like 5 minutes. What to do with a financial windfall, 5 money steps to take right now. It addresses some of the stuff in this book and also things that are unique to us as creatives. This book is fantastic because not only is it about creatives and entrepreneurs like ourselves, but also talks about, if you think about like athletes, performers. One quick sidebar on that, and I talk about that in the financial windfall video. Be sure and check it out. If you're making these aspirations, please check out this video. It's like probably the most important one on this list. With the work that a lot of the people that I coach, and perhaps a lot of the work that you do, we tend to get paid in erratic ways, right? So one of my books could sell extremely well. It's usually in 6-month patterns with traditional publishing. So for the first half of such and such year, my book might sell extremely well. And then that second half of the year might sell okay. And then that next half of the year, next 6 months, it might sell great again. I might do a TED Talk, and my books and everything, I have t-shirts. This is a Built From Now t-shirt available at damonbrown.net. And my mug, the Bring Your Worth mug and so forth, they might start flying off the shelves because I just did a TED Talk. And then I don't do a TED Talk for a couple of years. And suddenly they slow down. Our money is funny and it's cyclical, but we don't actually know the cycle, right? People talk about seasonal money. A lot of us don't have seasonal money. It ends up being cyclical money, but we don't know what the cycle is. We can't necessarily predict it. So I could get a 5-figure check right now, and then that might keep me and my family going. In some cases, I remember quite a few years ago, it was like getting a nice 5-figure check. And then that was all I had for that year. And I had to be really thoughtful as far as how I manage that. The same thing for musicians, the same thing for artists, the same things for athletes, I imagine, like all those different things. Sudden money, again, the book gets into that, but I give practical ways to deal with that and to think about that with this video. And number one tip, of course, is taxes. Don't try to outrun taxes. All right. The last book I recommend is The Soul of Money by Lynne Twist. I wish I had a physical copy. I actually borrowed the book from a family member. Shout out to my mom. Love you. This book, along with Sudden Money, was transformative for me. Um, it talks about the power of money and how money is viewed around the world. Lynne was fantastic as far as the storytelling because she actually worked with, I think still works with asset management when it comes to gift giving, and there's a term for it, but philanthropy, basically. So, what was interesting with her story is that she shared some of her personal story where her family was very like middle class. And then I think her husband's company got acquired for a gazillion dollars. And suddenly their lives changed. So yeah, that personal aspect of it where she understands what it's like to be middle class and then suddenly be, I guess, upper middle class, or it sounded like they were just class, rich, if not wealthy. And how there was a disconnect and challenges because I think they had a couple kids, challenges with the kids and all that, because now there are different expectations, different pressures, and they didn't feel as connected once they got the money. But she's also in charge of philanthropy and helping these major corporations, not make well, so some cases corporations, but more foundations, like Rockefeller and all that stuff, distribute their money. And she talks about these interactions that she had literally had with Mother Teresa, not proverbially, but she was hanging out with Mother Teresa and learned about money from her. Like if you're my age, I'm in my 40s and up, about Mother Teresa on that level, because I was around when she was around. She passed away probably about a decade and a half ago. But just that chapter almost made me cry because she was talking about how we view resources and how we abuse financially things and how it is being a root of power, but also a root of strength, and how things can be transformed based on, again, the soul of money. Fantastic book. This is a great reminder to myself to read it. I don't think I've read it in a few years, but it definitely transformed my view of money. I think I quote The Soul of Money briefly in Bring Your Worth, which is my book from 2019, so a few years ago. It's actually the eponymous name of my publishing imprint as well as this show, so you can tell it was an important book to me. But I absolutely love the book. If we kind of go down the line, first you got to figure out what your limitations are. And those limitations will help set your goals. Do not set goals that are based on things that aren't under your control. Then you can help develop a strategy where you're able to move forward without worrying about having systems fall apart. You got to become reflective, maybe over the next 4 weeks, I would recommend. Since we got a month to the end of the year right now, take advantage of this. This will be the time to write down what worked or what didn't work over the past year. Or more importantly, as I talked about in the example when we talked about Upstream, what issues do you see coming early next year or sometime next year that you can put a stop to now? Quick sidebar, I actually ordered some more clothes because I know that the clothes that I have, some of the clothes I have right now, are going to be worn out or ill-fitting by the time the new year starts. There's sales right now. I just ordered the clothes. Didn't think about it too hard, just order the clothes. It's the same philosophy. If you're reflecting and it's going to be an issue later, just invest in it now. It could be time, it could be money, it could be a relationship, personal or otherwise. Let's keep real about it. Invest in that now. It's going to be an issue later. Just go ahead and do it now. I know what it's like to procrastinate and be like, nah, I'm not going to deal with that now. I can't afford it. I don't have the time, whatever. I get it. I'm dealing with that today. I get it. Upstream thinking is about realizing what's going to be a problem down the line and nipping in the bud now, maybe even striving on it. And maybe even it doesn't become a problem at all. As you start to develop these strategies, you have to start to come up with a plan then about what if you actually do make more profit in this upcoming year? What are you going to do with that extra money? Are you going to invest it? Are you going to build up your savings? Are you going to pay down debt? Are you going to expand your business? Actually, I have quite a few videos that talk about expanding your business and whether you should or not in the YouTube channel. Again, at youtube.com/BrownDamon. You can subscribe for free. I have 3 or 4 episodes that talk about that. Should you expand? Should you invest more? Sometimes it's not worth it to make your business bigger. Sometimes it's better to pay down the people or the organizations that you owe and getting the debt down. Sometimes it's worth investing into a better system so that not next year, but the year after next, not the new year, but the new year, 2 years from now, suddenly you're making more profit. I have 52 or so passive income sources. Those are based on decisions that I made in 2016. So several years ago, I said, I'm going to leave some of this money on the table and focus on these resources that will give me money while I sleep. And guess what? I got 50 plus resources right now that are making money as I sleep. But that was a strategic decision several years ago. That's what the Sun and Money thing is about. Where are you going to invest those new resources that you have? It's not just about getting profit, but that profit also allows you to have more resources. So what are you going to do with it? You know, buy a new car. You're going to get employees. You're going to get a new factory space if you're doing widgets, right? You're going to virtual assistant. You're going to upgrade the software that you use to connect with your customers. Are you going to improve the quality of your product? Or are you just going to save the money? You can talk about profit all you want, but if you don't know what you're going to do with it, you might as well not have the profit, right? You need to have a plan. And lastly, understanding your motivation for wanting to have more profit. My motivation personally is very clear. I got 3 or 4 goals that I'm planning on hitting. And it's going to be boom, 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 boom. All right, cool. And then I'm in a better place. My family's in a better place. My career and my work is in a better place. I'm able to serve you in a better place. But it took me time to figure out what those plans were based on a bigger strategy. My strategy is that I want to have as many resources as possible to make sure that I can serve you in the best way possible. That's career-wise. That's my intention. That's my strategy. If I'm going towards that strategy, then I'm cool. Any plan that gets me closer to that is a good idea. When it comes to understanding the dynamics with you and other people, Adam Grant, love Adam Grant, shout out to him. Give and Take, his popular book, I think it was his breakout hit, How to Give Without Losing Yourself. And this video discusses how to be of service to the world without being stingy and without being a martyr. It's a thin line if you want to serve the world, particularly if you don't know yourself and you don't have that foundation. That's why you keep hearing this same pattern. Reflecting is so important to everything. Excuse me. And then one last recommendation as we wrap this up. Your next step should be to go deeper after the show. Be sure and check out my playlist. Start Passive Income Now. It's, I want to say 18 videos, dozen and a half. Let's say dozen and a half videos that talk about the stuff I'm talking about here. Passive income has been, and it still is, one of the couple of goals that I have every new year, and increasing it, focusing on it, building it up more. That's what happens to work for me. I'm the primary caregiver. I got 2 little kids. I have a lot of things that I'm juggling. So I'm not interested in trading time for money, as they say. I don't want to get paid for this because I'm showing up in a certain way. And then that ends up being the main thing that I'm doing. I want to create things that build upon themselves and continue to serve you. And in that sense, I continue to get more resources so I can serve you even more. This will get you on the path to that. So anyway, this is quite a show today, a little bit longer than usual. So hopefully it was of service to y'all. Again, it's the BringYourWorth show, coming to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. You subscribe for free. 271, let's say 271 episodes and about 200 shorts. 200 shorts, so many shorts that are for your enjoyment. It's all free. Subscribe. It lets me know that you guys are feeling the content. It also adds support, because if you subscribe, then it's going to get the attention quite literally of other people who are similar to you, who are trying to catch this wave and feel the vibe, whatever 90s word you want to use, right? Because I'm a hip cat like that. And the new book is Career Remix, Get the Gig You Want, based on the skills you've got. And yeah, and Career Remix. Oh, and it looks like we got a comment in here. I don't think it's showing up on the show, unfortunately, but it's Anna that's saying, they're asking what passive income is. I can take a moment for that if y'all want to roll with it. Passive income is you creating or building or making something once, and then you getting paid for it potentially forever. It's you not trading time for money. And a traditional job, at least here in America, in a traditional job, we trade time for money. We say, okay, Damon's going to work this hour. Oh, you work this hour? Cool. Here's $10. You're making $10 an hour. If I'm sick, my allergies are going, or I want to spend time with my kids, or I take time off, whatever, Damon doesn't work that hour. Damon doesn't get that $10. Because of that, you're tied to that. So we have that pressure to not get sick, which we're going to get sick. We have that pressure not to take time to rest. We have that pressure to not spend as much time with our family. We have that pressure to push ourselves in ways that maybe aren't the best for us. And because of that, we end up having this challenge of finding that balance and that good life, for lack of a better term. Shout out to Jonathan Fields. Finding that good life, but we're in the constraints where it's like, I need to pay for this house. I need to pay for my car note. I need to pay for my kids. I need to pay for, supporting my wife and all that stuff. And I only can do that by spending this hour in this job that I don't have that time to do, or I don't have the energy to do. So I'm going to make that sacrifice. Passive income is very different because it actually puts you in the space of saying, I'm going to bust my behind to create this thing. I'm going to create a book. I spent a year on this book. I'm going to spend a year on this book. I'm going to put it out into the world, give it to you, right? I'm going to give it to you. And then you're going to say, thank you, Damon. I love the book. Here's $20 for the book. It's somewhere in that range. That's happening literally right now as we're talking, constantly. I have 26 books. So that's half of the passive income streams I was just talking about. So with all those, there are books from literally years ago. Bring Your Worth, on down. You'll see a lot of them over my head over here. All these books are mine over here. All those books, they're giving royalties over the years. Some of them are 15 to 20 years old. I am not exaggerating. That's passive income. Passive income is the YouTube show where as the YouTube show grows, then I'll start getting paid for folks viewing the show, even though it'll be free to you. That's passive income. Those types of structures allow you to make strategic decisions. So some of the income I have coming in for this upcoming year, I don't have to worry about as much because there's already a little bit of padding there with the 52, I want to say 51, 52 passive income streams I have. So some of them were small, super tiny, a dime here, a dime there. Some of them are big. Some of them have given me 4-figure checks in a month. That's part of the flow. But that takes the pressure off of me of having to do things so aggressively, and that's what makes it so interesting. Yeah. So thank you, Anna, for your comment. I'm sorry it didn't appear on the screen, but much love to you, and hopefully it gives you insight as far as what passive income is. If you have more questions about it, be sure and check out the passive income playlist. I keep pointing to right here. It's actually below me on the screen. Click on there. It's about, like I said, 18 or so videos. We also have a book that I was going to talk about in the upcoming weeks. We're called The Passive Writer, 5 Steps to Getting Money in Your Sleep. It's actually focused on writers. It's with my colleague, Jeanette Hurt. We did it a few years ago. It's still pretty popular. And it's focused, of course, on journalism and other things because it's about writing as well as with authorship. but it also applies a lot of the principles I'm talking about right here, and a lot of principles I talk about in the playlist. So yeah, but thanks again for the question, Anna, and I hope that gets you on your journey. If there's any support I can give, otherwise, please let me know. But I think this video series is a good place to start. Be sure to subscribe so you won't miss any stuff. I actually have some stuff coming up on passive income this coming month. So Anna, you read my mind. Yeah, hopefully passive income will be part of your energy this upcoming year. Anyway, we just hit an hour. I didn't want to be on here too long. Much love to all y'all. And yeah, take care. Remember, you can always bring your worth, and you can always build from now.